Welcome to The Profile. I'm Gary Dunn. He's Eddie Storm. You're sitting in the hot seat tonight, Eddie.
I certainly am.
And we're all very interested to hear all your stories. You go back a long way in Perth, and I have much respect, so I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here, actually.
So I want to start with where were you born, Eddie?
I was born in Plymouth in Devonshire
Yeah.
in 1932.
Wow.
And I didn't have much of a childhood. I didn't have much of an education. And I grew up, I think, with the idea that everybody in the world was smarter and better than I was. So I had an inferiority complex, in other words, a big one.
I think most of us have. So
Yeah.
what instruments do you play?
I don't play an instrument.
Yeah.
I've never played an instrument.
Yeah.
I've been always interested in guitar, piano, but never had the opportunity, I suppose, to learn them.
What was the moment in your life, if you can remember, that you decided to be a singer, an entertainer, and which has obviously been for the rest of your life since that point? But when was that point in your life, Eddie?
Well, I was called up when I was 18 years old, but my background, not my background, but my grandmother sang Vera Lynn during the war.
Yep.
I was 7 years old when war broke out, and my dad went in the pubs with mouth organ, a little bit of tap dancing, and I sort of had always wanted the yearning to be out there.
Yeah.
Always afraid to give it a go,
Yep.
until I was called up at the age of 18, and I remembered a song that moved me, really, really, really moved me. And I only heard it on about 2 occasions, and I remembered every word. And when they asked for entertainers to come up and sing a song for the boys, and we were all conscripts, all kids,
Yep.
18-year-olds, I got up and sang this song, and everybody in the room sort of, they loved it. And I went, wow, I like this,
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
That was the moment.
That was the first moment I'd ever sung in front of that size of audience anyway.
So 1952, your first band was an orchestra, a small orchestra. You were the front man. You were age 20.
That's right.
It was called the Ted Coleman Orchestra, and you played with them for 12 years.
That's right. I was a band singer. We were a dance band, of course, And,
What sort of music were you playing then? Singing?
Elvis Presley,
Yep.
Tom Jones. Tom Jones had just started up early in his career then, but Frank Sinatra, Roy Orbison.
Yeah. Wow.
So I did a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of ballad, and it worked.
Yeah.
I sang. I made up a medley of all of the top hits of that era, and sang them.
Wow.
And it worked.
Fantastic. So tell me about those times in England before the swinging 60s, before the Beatles. What was it like?
For me, it was tough. I worked at Dockyard for 15 years, shipwright in the Dockyard, Devonport Dockyard, and on the weekends and sometimes midweek we'd get gigs with Ted Coleman. We go from Devon to Cornwall and back again the same night, and doing hotel gigs.
Yeah.
And it was exciting and new for me because of my background, because I was shy.
Yeah.
And I sang to gentlemen who wore red jackets and played little bugles and Yoicks Tally Ho, and I thought, well, they're doing the same as I do.
Yes.
They're Scarlark and they play.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they're not so superior after all. Like,
Yes.
you know, they're down to earth people.
Yeah.
Like, so I got to, you know, keep going that way.
Yeah. You moved to Australia in 1967. So you first came to Perth, I think. Why did you come to Australia? What was the reason for that?
I was looking. I was looking for a better life.
Yep.
I have 4 kids. They were 2 boys, 2 girls, and they were a young family. And I thought if I got out here, maybe I could get a job, a band job,
Yeah.
or something here, which I did.
Yep.
In 1968.
Wow.
I applied for a job singing in a band in the Floridita nightclub
Thank you,
in
V.
Wellington Street. Thank you, V.
Your wonderful wife is here.
Thank goodness for that.
So we've got something in common, and with a fantastic producer, Mr. Alan Simpson, as well. We all worked at Bones. So
I think
there is a story about the Anka Blanket, because I think you worked on the same floor as me, but I was obviously a few
Yes.
years later.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't know if it might get me in trouble, but I will tell you about it.
You weren't under the blanket, were you?
No. I was actually selling them when a very elderly lady came in and asked for the cheapest blanket. And when I produced the cheapest blanket, she couldn't afford it. So I said to her, "Can you run?" And I wrapped up a pair of Anka blankets, which were the top selling
expensive
blanket,
ones.
pure wool, and I put the docket for the cheap one, and I said, "Just keep going."
So you left. I don't know if you left Bones or got kicked out of there for giving away cheap blankets, but 1968, you became a full-time musician.
That's correct. I
Yep.
was working, as I said, in the Floridita nightclub. I got a job
nightclub.
singing with the band.
That was in Wellington
I can't
Street.
remember the name. Yeah, Wellington Street, yeah. You had to go up the stairs to get into the club. And Max Kay
Yep.
was the entertainer
Wow.
of that era. I mean, everywhere Max went, like
Yep.
he filled the place up with Scots people
Scots
everywhere.
people. Like he the new.
Yes. And he was the star of the show, of course.
Yeah.
And he said to the owner of the club, who's this, young fella. I was 35 then. I wasn't all that young. But he said, "Who's this guy?" And the owner of the club said, "Oh, he's young bloke's just come out from England."
Yeah.
And Max said, bring him down on the floor.
Yeah.
He's too good to be up there. And he did.
Wow.
I got down. I started to sing Delilah. My mouth went dry. I started to choke, looking for anywhere to run and hide. But I got through it.
Yeah.
And suddenly I had an audience.
Yeah.
And I wasn't hiding in a band anymore. I was out there. It was a big difference between a band singer and an entertainer.
Yeah.
But I was still shy. I was still like how do I do this?
Yes.
And then they were doing auditions for Vietnam. This was 1969. And I auditioned for Vietnam. And I won't say audition. Our audition was to mums, dads, parents, sweethearts, all of the family of the kids out there.
Wow.
So we passed the audition and went over there, and my life, my career, everything about who I was and what I was changed.
Yeah.
I went over there as a very nervous. Can you imagine a guy going over and to a mostly 90% male audience
Yes.
and singing like born free or something like. Well, they are going to eat me. They are going to eat me.
If they didn't, the lions were going to.
So, but to my utter amazement,
Yeah, they loved it.
they loved it. They came around the side. These young men and women, some they were there too. Came around the side, shook our hands, and to get a guy gripping your hand, saying, "It's great, mate. We're how's the folks at home? Wow, it was
Fantastic.
magic. So a captain who was in charge of the concert party said to me, "Eddie, love your show. Cut it in half." And I thought, yeah, okay. He loved the show, all right. So then he said, "When you're out there, you're in the front line.
Yeah.
The Gooks can hear you. They will aim their whatever they've got, the ammunition, bombs,
Yeah.
mortars. They'll aim it and where the sound is coming from." And
Was that a scary
there were-
experience?
very,
Yeah.
because we had several alerts.
Yeah.
Nui dat van Rang Vung Ta.
Yeah.
We had alerts where we just had to stop and run down into the trench.
Wow.
So this captain said to me, "When you get out there, just remember that some of the young people that you're singing to today could be horribly injured or worse."
Yes.
And it changed my whole life.
Mm.
I forgot to be afraid.
Yeah. Wow.
I got out there. I ran around in bandy-legged circles. I stole every joke from every comedian I'd ever worked with. And I sang my heart out.
Wow. Fantastic.
And
I have this here, Vietnam Logistic and
the
Support Medal.
logistics, yeah.
Yeah.
I got that 20 years later.
All right.
So,
But at least they recognise
yeah,
it.
they do with all
Is that all right, Strawny?
of the entertainers that went there had
Yeah.
the same medal.
Strawny's got to oil his chair. It's creaking a little bit. So what are the bands, like you performed in Vietnam and then you came back, what other bands do you remember from those times?
Well, of course, I had Bill Blaine here, and there was a big band in the pub, the big pub. I can't think of the name of the pub, hotel, Charles Hotel.
Yeah. We played there a few times.
You did?
Yeah, a couple here and there.
Yeah.
I think everyone.
A lot
in
of
this room.
I worked here from Perth, that is, right up until 1971.
Yeah.
I was doing a show in the Nanking restaurant with a hypnotist.
John St. James.
John St. James.
Do you think we should get V just?
I think she's doing a better job than mine.
So
No.
that was up to 1971. Then you went to Melbourne, and I think you won Australia's New Faces in Melbourne.
Yes, actually, I was singing it there when a guy approached me, Kevin Kelly, who used to be the general manager for Commodore Motels, and they had just built a motel in here in Perth, and they made me an offer too good to refuse. A 3-month contract with Commodore Motels, working 6 nights a week.
So you just moved around different hotels. Had all your charts.
Yes, I had charts from here, and worked the circuit. Went back to the at the end of my 3 months, and Kevin said to me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, my 3-month contract's up." He said, "You like it here?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Go on then, stay." So I did.
Wow.
I stayed for several years with Commodore Motels. Then I branched out nightclubbing, did the nightclubs, the pubs, then went on the Mary Hardy show in town tonight, wasn't it?
So,
the racing.
so did you find that winning the New Faces obviously put you on the map?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yes.
And Well, what's your take on the shows today? Like we've got The Voice, Australia's Got Talent, all those. I mean, it's similar new faces in those days. Do you rate those shows, or what do you think of?
I watched them.
Yep.
I watched them because no matter how old you are, how good you think you are,
Yeah.
you can always learn something.
Yep.
And sadly, there wasn't much I could learn because I couldn't understand a word that they were singing. And I'm partly deaf anyway. So I said to my wife, she's got good hearing, can you understand that? She said, no. So, in short, like, not very much. I tell a gag that, when I'm doing my show, like I auditioned for, The Voice. And the guy says to me, how old are you, Eddie? I said, 86. He said, you've had it. So I said, thank you very much. How did I go? So that sort of thing,
So you performed on cruise ships for quite some time as well.
I did.
Can you tell us about that?
So I was on there for about seven months on the Australis. Yeah, it's a Greek ship.
Yeah.
Happy ship, going to England, all the Aussies, sad ship coming back.
Yes.
All of Poms, should I say, like me, coming back.
Did you sing any Demetrius
different
songs on there being Greek?
Look, I loved being there because I was singing, I was entertaining different parts of the ship. And of course, in those days, I was in my early 40s. So, I looked a bit different than what I look now, with a black mole, black beard, long
I
black
saw some
hair
photos.
down the collar.
Yeah, I used to have black hair as well, so happens to all of us. So we've had quite a few performers on this show over the last couple of years. I think that you've worked with Ray Van Ross.
I took him to Vietnam with me. He was the band leader. I was the manager of the group in 1970, and I took Ray with me as a band, backing band, and they went very well over there.
Clem Croft.
Clem.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say about Clem? He's Mr. WA's everybody's singer, everybody's entertainer.
I want to get him on the show because I keep getting messages off someone. I can't remember who it is saying you got to have Clem Croft on the show.
He's just retired. I did
Yeah.
a retirement show for him. Yeah. Clem does a lot of rock and roll and stuff. And he said to me, "Are you still doing music of the night from the Phantom of the Opera?" I said, "You got to be joking!" We're in a golf club with all these young guys at the bar, hey, right through the whole thing, and dancing, rock and roll, and I come out there with the mask, night time, sharp and shut up. Wow, what the hell going on, Yeah. So it was fun because everybody stopped talking.
Yeah, and
was.
That's what entertainers do. They capture the audience, and
it was different.
Yeah, and you've also Al Jolson.
I love Al Jolson. Al Jolson brought me back into my era, of course, and this is what I do now.
He was
for
massively
the seniors.
huge, Al Jolson, wasn't he?
And do you know, people in my age group, younger people in my age group, know Al Jolson and sing Al Jolson.
Look, my father-in-law, Maury Ogden, he's 86, same age as you. He's had his birthday last weekend, and we talked. He does a great Al Jolson as well. He's an actor, and so he must have been pretty big in those days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So lots of different people you've worked with. Clem Croft, Peter Anderson, the Reno brothers, Carter Edwards, and a host of others. You've worked with the Platters.
Kelly Green.
Yeah, Kelly Green.
Yeah. Oh yeah, worked with the Platters, YMCA.
Yes.
in Melbourne.
What were you doing in that?
I was compere.
Okay.
I
Someone told me
compared the
you were
show.
the cowboy.
Do you know they came to Melbourne and at the Swagman restaurant, and it was, they had a huge stage.
Wow.
And they were running late, and I
Yep.
was asked to come there as a guest.
Yeah.
So the owner of the hotel
Yeah.
came up and said, Eddie, the hotel was a club, wasn't it? Came up and said, "Can you tell a few jokes, or do
Loosen them up.
So I did, and I'm watching the curtain going,
Yep.
something. I think, well, they got to be ready now. 20 minutes later, they've got to be ready now. Any in the audience older than me, So eventually, we got going.
Yeah,
And,
excellent. So your life has just been as an entertainer, really.
Absolutely.
The shy
Yeah.
young man turns
I'm still a
entertainer.
shy old man. I get up there. I'm still good at that before I go on the show.
Yeah.
I still think, like, if I hit a bum note, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So I'm still.
I can
nervous.
understand that thinking
Yeah.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Most professional entertainers are, even the big boys.
Bit of adrenaline and
And
that
the big
nerve
girls, yeah.
sort of gets you going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like before a football match. So life as an entertainer has been great for you, and then you met the current Minister for Arts and Culture, Mr. David Templeman, and you received an OAM, an Order of Australia medal. And I just want to show everyone this because this is very special, Eddie.
It's
You got that, Strawny? So
a hell of an honour. I've never.
this way?
No, the other way.
Other way?
Yeah.
Like that. I didn't want the picture to fall out or the medal to fall off. There you go. Sorry, I blew that. I'll put my finger there. How's that, Strawny? So can you tell us about the experience of getting awarded that medal?
Well, I didn't know. V and David Templeman got their heads together.
Yep.
And decided, because David didn't want to disappoint me,
Yeah.
because a lot of people who are forwarded for this
Yep.
particular medal get knocked back.
Yep.
And so David had warned me that this could happen. So, like, we'll leave Eddie out of the picture. So I didn't know for a whole year. I did these two for a whole
Collaborating.
year. Yes.
Yes. That's the word you're looking for, I think.
That's the word. Forgive my short-term memory
That's
loss.
okay.
It comes with
That's
age
the biggest
and-
word I know.
So, yes, David got together with V,
Yep.
and a year later, how I found out was that I received a letter from Canberra asking me, would you accept the OAM? And I thought, what the hell are they talking about? I said to V, have you seen it? And she started to laugh, of course, and there it was. And so for me, it's so humbling.
Yeah.
It's
Fantastic for you to be recognised for all of your work.
I got it for the arts,
Yeah.
and I was in a room with 60 or 70 people, doctors, professors, gynecologists, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing here, and among all these people. And I noticed that everything was serene going up on stage, and we were all waiting to be called. When they called me out, and they mentioned Vietnam and stuff like that, and I got up and then I thought, I was shaking, and I went up to the governor, and she shakes hands with everybody, and they have a photo taken of shaking hands, and then you turn and they take another photo of you. So I grabbed her hand and I shook it, and I said, I'm gobsmacked. and she laughed, and I thought, we had a smiling face of the governor.
Well, you wouldn't see many musicians that get those sort of honours, like doctors.
No.
I mean, doctors are wonderful people because they've got lots of patients. as you know. But
Yes.
you know, but musicians not so much.
Well, it's it's an Australian medal, isn't it? You know what I
but
mean?
no laughs for that. So
We try.
okay, thanks, Johnny. His chair's still creaking. V is your wife. Your wife is sitting here. I met V for the first time. I've been talking to her for a few weeks, obviously, to get you up here and get you on here. And she's your manager, your wife, your publicist.
Yeah.
She's
Yes.
everything.
Absolutely, yeah. And I walked the line.
So no inside information. Well,
Well, I introduce her as she's the brain,
yeah,
and I'm the skinny brawn.
yeah.
So that's that about says it all.
Well, you're a
you know.
lucky man, Eddie, because
I think I am.
Yeah,
I
very
do
lucky.
because she's there, and I know that I've got something there
Yeah.
that's solid, which every entertainer needs
Yes.
to come off a stage exhausted, and to have someone to wrap their arms around and say that was a good show.
Yes,
You know, so
fantastic. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
she seems like your biggest supporter, and so be it.
Absolutely.
So you're now doing seniors events. You give your time.
Yes.
And I know you do it for nothing, and I know you give.
Well,
you're
I do a
giving
lot
back.
of those.
And V obviously organises a lot of things.
Yes, she does.
For
She
seniors. How's all that going? Is it you're
wonderful.
doing a lot of shows?
Actually, yes, we're doing Bunbury, Bustleton,
Seniors expos.
Seniors Expos. Yeah.
Live Lighter Games,
Yep.
Seniors Recreation Council.
Wow.
Yeah, lots and lots of work.
Yeah.
You can go over here.
Cabaret shows. That's it. That's it.
Well, we might do it in to see you, V.
Come on over here.
Okay.
Come and say hello.
Oh, goodness me.
That'll make me feel braver.
Oh,
There you are. There she is.
thank you.
To viewers, V Storm, the other side of Eddie. How are you, V? You well?
Fine and well, thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
You see how quiet I've gone already?
So, what was the biggest influence musically? Who was the artist? Is it an artist or a band? What?
The lady with the
Barbara
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 Streisand.
Streisand.
And when she did that, Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you hear me? With a
Yeah.
candle. Man,
Hell of a singer, isn't she?
just not just a singer. She gives something more. You know,
Yeah.
like it's an empathy I feel when I'm singing to an audience and I'm entertaining. It's almost like love.
Yeah.
It's an empathy with people that you don't have to be afraid of. They're your peers.
It's hard to explain it, isn't it?
Yes,
it's hard to
but it's
put it in
difficult
how you
to-
feel into words.
Yes, yeah.
When you're on that
It's
stage,
like a
and-
love affair. It's
Yeah.
like a love affair.
Yeah.
It's,
and you look down, you see the happy, smiling
Yes,
faces, and
yeah.
you're moving
Yeah.
people.
Somebody once said to me, I think it was a Jehovah's Witness that came to my house and said, like, I think you make a good Jehovah's Witness. And I said, yes. I said, because the stage is my chapel. That's my church. I make people laugh. I make them happy.
Yeah.
And
Fantastic.
that, I say my prayers, if you know, but I don't have to go to church to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to particularly belong to any particular religion. No.
Just on the way here in the car, because sometimes I ask people what we're listening to on the way in the car, but obviously we're listening to me. But just Johnny. But like V was telling us about the church, the in Mandurah, that you thought you get a few people along, and I think 500 turned up
Last
there.
year we organised a Vietnam Veterans show using 4 entertainers from WA.
Yep.
And I promoted it with the Vietnam Veterans Association, and we had 500 turn up.
Wow.
And I only expected maybe 350.
And you asked for a gold coin donation.
Coin, and we gave that back
You
to
gave
Vietnam.
it to Vietnam.
Yeah, for
Wow.
the vets, yeah.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
The Vietnam Veterans Association were fabulous.
Yeah.
I actually met some of the guys that
About
I
150 to 200 turned up
Wow.
of the vets
yeah,
for
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Fantastic.
and some of them knew me from
Wow.
from
From
90,
then?
yeah, 69 and 70, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
We're going to
Amazing.
do
Yeah.
another one, so
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, let's move sideways a bit. If you were stranded on a deserted island, right, and you could only take one album with you,
Wow.
one bit of music, what would it be?
Oh, there it is. I've already told you.
Barbra Streisand?
Barbra Streisand, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What was your favourite TV show growing up?
Oh, well, for starters, now you remember it was black and white, and we never had it. We never had much TV in
Yep.
England, for starters. You know,
Yep.
we're going back 50, nearly 60 odd years.
Wow.
So, Coronation Street.
Oh,
Coronation Street.
you know, it's funny you should mention that because I have to watch Coronation Street nearly every night. Obviously not tonight because my wife records it on Foxtel.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not joking. Seriously. I mean, and I used to complain about it and I gave up, but now I'm really into it. It's like
It's still, you're saying it's still
biggest
going.
lying, cheating, you know, like that's all it is. You know, like,
Swapping partners.
yes, like everyone's with everyone at different times. It's yeah. Anyway, so that's my penance. So, do you have any unfulfilled ambitions, Eddie?
Unfulfilled ambitions. Not really. You know, I think I'm one of the luckiest people to have come through 60 years of in a profession that's helped me with my nerves and my stuttering and it's been wonderful. I wouldn't change a thing.
Wow.
Because of the people that I've met. I've met, you know, Gordon Clark in the Tulla Hotel in Tasmania.
Wow.
The first Australian guy that really befriended me. And I used to think when I came over from UK, like the Australians were the loudest, noisiest people I have ever met. I was in awe of the noise and the confidence.
Mm.
I never met a race of people like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because I mean, Plymouthians we're not big travellers, you know. It's,
I mean, and the rubbish
surface.
football team, you can understand why.
Oh, Plymouth, come on.
But you've now met Alan Simpson at Malaga, in Malaga at ProCopy. I mean, can you beat that? You know,
You're what, mate?
pretty hard to beat. You didn't give him a mention. Look, do you collect anything, Eddie?
Well,
memorabilia.
memorabilia.
You brought plenty with you tonight, V.
Yeah, I brought a
Thank
lot,
you.
but I'll get it over
Yeah.
Yes,
computer.
V does all of
He's
it.
got barrels of it.
Yeah.
Barrels and barrels. CDs from different shows. That's
Eddie sings up a storm. All sorts of songs on here. Fantastic. You got Mammy.
Al
Jolson.
Jolson.
You know, heaps of them. And look, we're obviously trying to, and we're going to be successful at some time, to get a website of the history of WA music, and it'd be wonderful to have this sort of stuff on there, and for people to be able to listen to it, and just to look at your history and what you've done for the music industry in general, and just for people, just making, especially troops in Vietnam, and et cetera, et cetera. It's a wonderful thing. So my producer's going like this, so what would you put on your gravestone, Eddie?
Eddie was here.
Beautiful, love it. And a new question that I've been asked to ask, is there anyone you may have forgot in this interview that we haven't talked about?
That's a good question. It's a good question. because there's going to be people out
Yep.
there that say, "Why did you mention
Yep.
my name?" You know,
Yep.
it's going to be out there. Going to be out there.
Yeah. It's a hard question. I'm sorry.
It is a hard question. Can I mention my friend?
Yes.
There was a lady in my life long before I met
Yeah.
V. She was Australian,
Yeah.
and she was called Margaret Donker.
Margaret Dunker.
And Donker, yeah, she
Donker,
was.
yeah.
She had married a Dutchman,
Yeah.
so the name Donker came there, and she taught me about the Australian way, and not to be afraid of this noise. And good on you, Eddie. He's the horse's ass. It wasn't an insult.
Mm.
Excuse my language. It
No,
wasn't an
it's fine.
insult. They were actually giving me the thumbs up.
Yeah.
And I kind of thinking, oh, they're calling me an horse's ass. Oh,
Horses
yeah.
are.
And she, have you heard the song? You know.
Yes.
Anyway, she was my mentor.
Yeah.
She became my mentor. This little thing here was a gift. This is now 50, nearly 50 years
Yeah.
old. That was a gift. It's a gold sovereign, and it's my lucky charm.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people like to have
A lucky charm.
something that just before a show they go, just before a show.
Well, to be 86 years old and to have the mind that you have and to be performing now still,
It's the only thing
wish,
I can
I
do.
wish.
Do you know, honestly, so far I haven't stuffed up. You know, 'cause I've stuffed up everything else. I go from one room into the other. What the hell am I doing in here? But
Not with the show.
the lyrics, they're there.
And that
you know.
probably keeps you smart. It keeps your smarts there, and you know, it's something that's.
Well, I rehearse 4 times a week,
Yeah.
and I rehearse for an hour and a half each time that I drive the neighbours cuckoo, of course, but I do, and I have to.
Yeah.
You know the old saying, "Use it or lose it."
Yeah.
When you get older, it works that way. So
Yeah.
I can't let 2-3 weeks go by.
Yeah.
I can't do that. You know.
Eddie, look, V, it's such a pleasure to meet you,
It's a pleasure to meet you too.
I really thank you for coming in and sharing your story
And we
with
thank
us.
you and we wish you
Yeah,
all the
thank
best
you, and the
with your
guys.
file.
Thank you so
You know,
much.
you've made me feel comfortable, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you've done on our behalf.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so
It's
much.
wonderful what you've done too.
Thanks,
you.
Steve. Bless
Thank
your
you.
heart. Thank you.
Thank you very
Great.
much,
Good
V.
luck for the future.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone may come to show the way. I believe above the storm, the smallest breath can still be heard. I believe that someone in the break somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time softly, love, and hold me warm against your heart. I feel your words, the tender trembling moments start. We're in a world, our very own, sharing a love that only few have ever known. Wine-colored days, warm by the sun, deep velvet nights when we were one. Speak softly, love, so no one hears us from the sky. The vows of the love we've made will live until we die. My life is yours, and all because you came into my world with love so soft in love. Wine-colored days, warm by the sun, deep velvet nights when we were one. Speak softly, love, so no one hears us from the sky. The vows of love we made will live until we die. My life is yours, and all because you came into my world with love so soft.